Okay, this is Pete Rogers. We're doing quotes from the book Holy Grail Wisdom Quotes in alphabetical order. The next author is Montaigne. He lived from 1533 to 1592. He says, "He who establishes his argument by noise and command shows that his reason is weak." And that's very much like the Machiavelli quote, that the truth can, prove itself, but a lie has to be backed up with force. Okay, the next thing. The most natural desire is the desire to learn. For Aristotle and for Montaigne, but for the average person, average person doesn't read. Okay, next quote. "In true education, anything that comes to our hand is as good as a book. The prank of a page boy, the blunder of a servant, a bit of table talk, they are all part of the curriculum. The most fruitful and natural exercise for our minds is, in my opinion, conversation. If there is such a thing as a good marriage, it is because it resembles friendship rather than love." Yeah, that's what I've seen too. If the people really like each other as friends, that can last their whole life, versus that intense romantic attraction type of love. That's going to fade. She's going to become a fat slob, and you have to talk to each other every day about the kids, about the house, whatever. So friendship's a good thing to have in a relationship. Next quote of Montaigne. "I quote others only in order to better express myself. Happiness involves working towards meaningful goals." Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. If you feel like you're doing something useful, you feel happy. You feel like your time has been put to good use. "There is a sort of gratification in doing good which makes us rejoice in ourselves." Yeah, I think we get release of reward neurotransmitters when we help each other people, because for our ancestors, evolutionarily, somebody who was being nice to the other people of their group was more likely to continue to be accepted by the group and not be ostracized and bumped out of it, and thus more likely to survive. So that was rewarded. Okay, the most certain sign of wisdom is cheerfulness. "To strengthen the mind, you must harden the muscles." Yeah, you got to exercise. Thomas Jefferson said, "Train yourself to walk far." There's been lots of great minds that have said that exercise is essential. Basically, the way you want to run your life as an intellectual is wake up first thing in the morning and do your most challenging academic work. Work as long as you can, as hard as you can, but then you're going to get a little tired and burn out typically in the afternoon. Get some exercise. Then have a nice dinner, socialize with friends and families, go to sleep, rinse and repeat the next day. "I never met a man who thought his thinking was faulty." Yeah, even stupid people think they're good thinkers. It's just how it is. "I speak the truth, not my fill of it, but as much as I dare speak, and I dare to do so a little more as I grow old." Yeah, old people will tell you more, because like a young guy up and coming in a academic university, he wants to make tenure, he wants to make partner, he knows he can't piss anybody off. Whereas an old guy, he's ready to retire anyways, and he's pissed off, he's been ignored all his career, so he wants to tell people the truth, what he's learned, so it wasn't just time wasted. "I would prefer to trust a physician who has himself suffered the malady he would treat." Okay, last quote of Montaigne. "When one conforms to do what others do because they do it, a kind of lethargy steals over the finer senses of the soul." Yeah, if you feel like you're just going through the motions and you must conform to some tedious, stupid job, then you're not happy. You're grateful for the money, but you don't feel like your potential is being fulfilled. Your self-actualization is being fulfilled. Okay, we'll briefly talk a little bit about Federico Montefeltro. He lived from 1422 to 1482. So right sort of in the early phase of the Renaissance, like around the time of Lorenzo the Magnificent Medici. And he was called Montefeltro, the light of Italy. He ruled Urbino from 1444 to 1482. He was a great soldier, commander. He was a mercenary soldier a lot of his time. He was also a patron of the arts. Raphael's father was a painter in Urbino. He had a wonderful group of people there working with him. He was known as a knowledgeable historian. He was well read in Plato and Aristotle. He had a great library. His son was very sick, though, Guidobaldo. Guidobaldo was sick, impotent. They called him the Fisher King. And he was later driven out of Urbino by Cesare Borgia. Cesare Borgia tricked him. Anyways, Baldassare Castiglione was a friend of Guidobaldo. And Baldassare's experience in Urbino was the impetus for writing the book The Courtier, sort of a famous one about how a man should behave. So anyways, I don't have any quotes by Montefeltro, but he's somebody you should know about. He's a pretty heroic, great guy. All right, the last guy for today is going to be Montesquieu. He lived from 1689 to 1755. Okay, he became very famous when he wrote his book Persian Letters, where Persian travelers see France through their own perspective and write letters about it. Those types of books can be pretty good, where you get this alternative perspective, sort of like when Voltaire was exiled to England, he wrote English letters, in a similar vein as what Montesquieu had done. And it also reminds one of when Tocqueville came to the United States, and he's a Frenchman writing about his observations of the USA. And a great book. Okay, so Montesquieu, his first quote: "If one only wished to be happy, this could be easily accomplished. However, we wish to be happier than other people, and this is always difficult because we believe others to be happier than they are. I have always observed that to succeed in the world one should seem to be a fool, but be wise. We receive 3 educations, one from our parents, one from our schoolmasters, and one from the world. The one from the world contradicts all that the first 2 have taught us." Okay. "Solemnity is the shield of idiots." Yes, I've seen that. 3 things we should keep in mind during a conversation. First, we speak to people as vain as ourselves. Second, there are few truths important enough to justify reproving others for not knowing them. Finally, anyone who monopolizes the conversation is a fool and would be fortunate if he was one. Friendship is an arrangement in which we undertake to exchange small favors for big ones. It is always the adventurous who accomplish great things. I like that quote. That basically, if you want to do something great, you have to go for it. And you could have a humiliating, embarrassing failure, but if you don't go for it, you're never going to achieve anything. Okay, a monarchy depends on honor. A republic depends on virtue. A despotism depends on fear. Yeah, so despotism is the easiest one to keep. Okay, USA used to have virtue, but the virtue is slipping away, and it looks like the republic is slipping away too, unfortunately. Montesquieu: "A republic is the most desirable form, but it is the least stable form." Yeah. Republics end through luxury. Yeah, that's what I see happening. Brave New World, hedonism, Epicureanism, and that's like what Will Durant said. All countries begin in Stoicism and they end in Epicureanism. Monarchies end through poverty, like France, 1789. Okay, republics end in luxury. Yeah, like Rome. Okay, Montesquieu: "You have to study a great deal to know a little." Okay, that's it for Montesquieu. I hope you enjoyed those quotes.